What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. An hour ago, it was reported on IG, and the channel who posted it has said that as of the time they received the news, it was still unconfirmed, but they had received various texts as well as DMs saying that little Toro, the guy that's been all over social media lately, they're saying that he succumbed to some injuries and that he's no longer living. I don't know him. I've already talked about it. You know, he had a case that he got involved in, and it was not a good case. This dude was obviously, to me, and seeing him interact on social media over years, the dude was really caught up in some kind of paranoia, some schizophrenia, something bipolar, something. And you know, it's really unfortunate that he was in a place mentally where he couldn't just be quiet and sail off into the sunset. At one point, he was one of the top northern rappers. The guy could actually rap. Then some incidents occurred. That case occurred. And he had a falling out. Of course. And instead of, like I said, just riding off into the sunset, if this is true, remember, as I'm recording this video, it's been 1 hour since it was first initially posted. I'm not putting this video out until I receive some type of news. But instead of him just being able to just ride off into the sunset, take his medication, be well, try to keep his wife and children, his sickness had him making a whole lot of decisions and statements that were very detrimental. You know, he disrespected all of the North. Craziest thing. He disrespected all of the North. Then he said he wanted to be a Southerner, as if it was like a car club. You just sign up somewhere and you're in. Then he comes to Southern California and he says he's chasing a dream. He's chasing a dream to become an actor, to do comedy, to get back into music. All the while caught up in these delusions. And we're watching it. Maybe if none of us watched it, it would have set into him that there was nothing there and to go home and be with his family. But no. One of the sad things about human nature is everybody looks at the car crash when you go by. Everybody comes out and watches the building burn down. And so that's what we did with this guy. We didn't want to watch. We didn't want to support. But it was so outlandish. It was so weird that we watched. And then he came down to Southern California, like I said, and he was chasing his dream supposedly. And then he disrespected the South. Like nobody in Southern California was going to even know who he was unless they watched YouTube. You know, and even then, they probably would have just been like, ah, that dude's a J-Cat, man. Fuck that guy. But he was screaming into the phone. He went into a part of LA with a long, long history of established barrios. And he yelled at the paisas behind the counter. He catted out. And then he went back up north. I always say it, man. Friends come and go, enemies accumulate. There's a lot of people who don't care if you have a mental disorder, if you have a mental illness. The things you choose to say, they will still hold you accountable for them. I'm sure him and his baby mom, they were having, they weren't on the best of terms. How could you be? How you don't know who you're gonna have on the phone when he calls. She let him see his kids recently, which is a great thing. But I'm sure she never wanted this to happen. That's her kid's father. When you have people with a mental disorder, a mental issue, when something when they pass, I don't know if it's wrong to say this, but those children have good memories with their father. I'm sure they're shielded from the social media stuff. And so now they get to live their lives. If this is true, they get to live their lives with the positive memories they had of their father. They don't have to endure watching him deteriorate mentally. Because unlike the rest of us who don't know him, and we were just watching, those kids and his family loved him. They were putting up with whatever he was going through. His father had him at the house. Now, nobody has to worry about that. Life goes on. This is why I always say, tell the ones you love that you love them. You never know what your expiration date is. You never know what your loved one's expiration date is. But if you love them, let them know. I can't feel bad for this, right? But I want to make sure that we I don't know if anybody's been arrested, caught for what happened. But it's unfortunate that those people were in that position where they had to sacrifice their freedom, their family, their liberty. Their families too are going to be without a loved one. I don't know how many people were involved. I don't know the details. I know what I read. It's on IG. But there's always the other family. And I try to bring that up because I know what my family suffered with because of my horrible decision. The family should never have to suffer. So that's my video for the day. Like I said, once I find out more, I'll put this video out. But for now, everybody be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out of here.